In this video, I will try to flip my balisong wearing different types of gloves. Now, I like to think I'm pretty decent with a balisong. Well, I mean. Okay, maybe more intermediate plus. Anyway, I wanted to know how different types of gloves can affect my flipping, so I scored them based on how easy or hard it is to do certain tricks. Those would be fans, chaplains, rollovers, leathers, and chokers. The glove types I tested were wool, bike, rubber, and my MMA half gloves. Each category is rated from 0 to 10, and the max total point comes up to 50. Okay, so first of all, the wool gloves. The gloves made the balisong very slippery and it was very difficult to do basically anything. I'm also using the Trident, which only made the problem worse. Chokers were nearly impossible, the knife would just slide off my hand no matter what. Ow. Yeah, it landed on my foot. So chokers don't work. What about fans? Fans had a similar problem. Because the knife was so slippery, it was difficult to know how hard to hold it so it would spin properly. But after some trial and error, they were way easier than the chokers. I did eventually manage to land a choker though. Chaplains were also extremely hard to control, but after getting used to the speed, they were pretty easy. Ladders and rollovers were also harder, but not that much. Overall, I didn't think the gloves were so bad, but then this happened. Yeah, I think I'll move on. This is how I score the wool gloves. I give 4 for fans, 6 for chaplains, 6 for rollovers, 7 for leathers, and 1 for chokers, a total of 24 points. With that said, it's time to move on. The bike gloves. I didn't think these gloves would affect my flipping so much because they were pretty tight on my hand and felt way more natural than the wool gloves. However, they had these small silicone dots at the edge of the thumb, index and middle fingers that gave way too much extra grip for chokers and chaplains. They weren't impossible, but very uncomfortable to do. The same thing with fans, the extra grip at the end made them very annoying to successfully execute, but they were still doable. Rollovers and leathers weren't as difficult, but it still took some time to get used to the grip of the silicone dots on the gloves. Overall, the gloves performed way better than I expected. Eventually I was able to do most tricks. They were still way worse than the wool gloves though. The thing is, the wool gloves were at least consistent with the grip they had. These, however, only have extra grip in the edges of the fingers, and that really threw me off. While they may not be the worst gloves I tried, they were definitely the most annoying. Okay, let's move on to the rubber gloves. This is the score I gave the bike gloves. I gave them 3 for fanning, 3 for chaplains, 4 for rollovers, 6 for leathers, 2 for chokers, for a total of 18 points. 6 points lower than the wool gloves. Now the rubber gloves. The rubber gloves to me were a pleasant surprise. Chaplains were somewhat easier to control. Rollovers were great, same with ladders. Chokers were a bit weird, but overall not too bad. Same thing with fans. This is because the extra grip I got from the rubber wasn't as violent as the one I got from the bike gloves, so it was actually helpful to me. I didn't really feel limited with these gloves, so I gave them a pretty high score. Unlike the next pair, I'm really not looking forward to this. Well, it's time to move on to my MMA half gloves. This is how I scored the rubber gloves. They got 7 for fanning, 10 for chaplains, 9 for rollovers, 9 for leathers, 8 for chokers, for a total of 43 points. And last but not least, my MMA half gloves. Awful, bad, terrible. There are no words to describe how bad of an idea this was. Everything is impossible. Nothing works. But, surprisingly, chokers were still easier than with the wool gloves. I don't really know what I expected with this. I gave it a 5, and I'm being generous. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. See you next time.